Okay, so the next question I have is from Ramon. Ramon says, I have a grid form that has requests for vacation time for the employee. From this grid, I can add a new request, which represent an application form. Once the user fills the form with the required information and saves it, the form stays there. Once saved, I want the form to close and to return to the grid that lists all the requests the user has made. So is this possible? I'm very new to web development and to Scriptcase. So Ramon, yes, it's very, very possible. In fact, you know, when I read this question the first time, I thought, well, it's a simple solution, but at the same time, you have a few options there available to you. Okay, so generally, let's come back into Scriptcase again. And what we can do this time is, let's come here to root, and we can actually just create a new application this time, because then we will have here a grid application and a form together. And if I choose here, say, for instance, the categories table, that would do, and then go create. Okay, so I have now the form and the grid created. And of course, it's only showing me right now the grid. But if I click on add new, you'll see the form. And if I come here to home, we have here then also the form categories, which was just generated. So right now, if I come in here, let's go ahead and configure this slightly. So for the form, we have here the category ID. And I don't think we actually need this here, do we? So that can actually be hidden. So I want to come here to edit fields, hide that. We have the category name, the description, and the picture. The pictures in a database, it's not required. So thankfully, it's not required. I can just go ahead and add some dummy data now. So category name, I'll just call it sample. This is a sample. And if I go add, it will add the data. Now, it doesn't then redirect back to the grid application. Okay, so, and that's exactly what Ramon here wants to achieve. He wants this form now, after data entry, to return back to the grid. And of course, if I go cancel, it then returns back here to the form. And if I go exit, well, it closes the application. So you need to set up the redirection there. And you've got a few ways of doing that. So one way, okay, which is a possibility, I highly doubt it though, is that you have here the navigation, okay? So here within the application and navigation settings, you can configure here an exit URL to define if it closes on exit. If there is a redirect URL, you can attach a variable, you can return after inserting, you can also exit the application. Now, I don't think this is your solution, just to highlight that one, but I just wanted to point that out as also an option to provide some redirection for your applications. Okay, so within your application, you have then here your events, and then after insert, for instance, or even on after updates, because you may want to redirect the user again at that time, you can redirect the user from here. So within the right-hand panel here, you have some really awesome macros that makes our life a great deal easier. And the redirect, as you can imagine, is sc_redir or redirect. Okay, so if I just click on that, it will insert. Now, what I really want to show you here is the question mark next to that, because yes, this may be gibberish at first if you have never used Scriptcase before, and as you say, Ramon, you are a new user, so this may not mean very much to you. So over to the right, we have here the question mark, and if I click on that, it will then take me directly to the macro help information. And clicking that will then give you this information you're seeing here right now. So we have here, okay, did my browser just crash on me? No. Okay, then we have then here, for instance, a very simple test, another simple test, and we have a few simple tests here that we can apply that would more than likely help you with what you are wanting to do. So in your case, you want to redirect the user back to the application. So you have here with parameters or without parameters, and I would imagine that maybe you are passing some parameters. So maybe you would want to use one of these alternative options here. And of course, just copying that, and you read through the information, it'll help you here. You have the scope of where this macro works. Okay, so that is important that you check that to make sure the macro you are using also functions with the application you are wanting to using it. Okay, so here, if I then paste that, I can then go ahead and get rid of the information here if I wanted to. But then note, of course, we have here the application name, the parameters that we can apply. We can also apply a target, an error message, a height for the modal, because we can specify the target also as a modal window, and we can then also configure the modal width and height. So that is an option, and of course you can check that there within the help documentation. All the information you need is there. Okay, so with this, for instance, you would then basically check, for instance, if a field has been filled in or not, for instance, and in that case, you would then on after insert redirect to say here now the grid categories, okay? And you could pass some parameters along here. So you could pass, for instance, a field variable. So here, for instance, we have here the description. So I could fill that in here. And here I'll say var desk. So I know it's a variable for the description or something along those lines. And of course, I could then maybe apply another parameter, which could then maybe be, say, for instance, a global variable being maybe the user login or whatever else you want to really apply. Now, with those options applied to your redirect or just a straight redirect, I can then insert, run the application. So if I run again now and go add new and sample 2, I say add that. That says already exists. So let's try another one. Yeah, I don't want to do that, do I? Because that's really not such a good number. And okay, so we're having here an error record already exists. So that's an interesting one, why we are here. And why would that be? Well, this is not increasing here our ID. So here our category ID. So if I enable here the category ID again, let's go ahead and run that. That is required. And we see here for our previous entry that actually added the 0 as a category ID. And well, as some of you for sure know, that is not correct. So we would normally have the database do or perform these auto increments for us, but we also have that possibility here within the Scriptcase or edit fields option here. And here I can say auto increment, automatic, or auto increment manual. So I'll go automatic. Let's go ahead and run it again now. Now, of course, I will have a 0 there in the table, which probably is not going to be very nice. Okay, I want to run. Okay, and then add new. And now if I go sample 2 and go add, now we have sample 2 added. So there we have a 0 ID. And if I go here to the end, oh, no, here sample 2, we don't have our sample 2 there. And why would that be? There is a reason for that. So when you redirect, okay, after insert, as I have just done, it's not inserting your data. So this is very important if you are applying this. It's all fair and good redirecting the form, but note, you haven't actually completed that transaction yet. So here within the macros, we have another macro, which is very important in this case. Okay, so I'll scroll down here. If I find it now, we have, I probably missed it already, SC commit trans. There we are, it was at the top. And now this macro will perform the transaction before the redirect. So we've applied this here on the on after insert. And we could also apply this, the same, on after update. Okay, so whenever you insert and whenever you update, the first thing that will happen, it will commit the transaction that you have just performed. And then it will go and redirect you back to the grid categories. Okay, so this is very important. And you may be noticing right now, we have the connection defined here. And of course, you may also know that Scriptcase allows us to work with multiple databases at the same time. And if you don't know, well, you do now, and that is an awesome feature. And that is where you would apply then here the connection name for which you are inserting this data. If, for instance, you are applying multiple inserts in multiple database table, you know, whatever you're doing there, you have that possibility, and it's very easy to apply. Okay, so without any connection defined, because I only have the one connection, I can just go sc commit trans like so. I don't need to define the connection name. It will default to the only connection or the default connection that is applied. So now if I go ahead and run, And now if I go add new, and if I go sample 55, add, okay, and if I come back down here, we should have here somewhere a sample 55, which I see is not again being entered. That's a good one today, isn't it? So let's see what's going on here. On after insert, we have just done that, our commit, and we are redirecting. Okay, so troubleshoot, that's what we need to do. So we come here to settings, script error, we can enable that, but the one we want here is the debug mode. So if we go ahead and run, we receive here some debug information. Now it's important to note, because we've applied the redirect will of course occur, and well, you're not going to see what's happening. So what you want to do is comment out the SC redirect, run that, and now we'll see the commit transaction happening, hopefully, and if not, then we're going to see what's happening. So if I go again, sample 99, I'll add no description, add, and insert into categories. Well, we're seeing it here added. Okay, so that is actually working. So let's add then here the SC redirect again. And now if I go add new, and let's add something else in here. Working, I hope. Okay, working, I hope. And let's add a scribbly description in there, add that. Now we had the pop up there. I didn't see anything out of the blue, and they were actually having our sample, even the one we just added. So there was no error in the first place. Okay, so that's actually working fine. It just did not update the grid. And the reason for that is it's probably because I have another window open with 500 tabs. Okay, so it's not, it could just be down to that. Okay, so that hopefully answers your question there, Ramon. That is how you would actually do that. And of course, you can go ahead and well, apply a few other options there, or configurations, other redirects, and as much